Welcome to another episode of the Plumbing 101 show with myself, your host, Willem Kloppe. And in this episode, we're talking about conduct in the workplace, and at least a code of conduct that is set in workplaces and in businesses. Now, a code of conduct is a set of guidelines that influence people and employees' actions. And it can easily be seen as the standards that people have to adhere to in order to remain part of a business or an organization. Now, because conduct and the way that you conduct yourself in business reflects a company or an organization's values and standards and their vision and their mission, as well as the principles according to which they operate, it is an integral part of the daily operations of any business. Now, joining me for a conversation around the way that people conduct themselves in the trade of plumbing and plumbing businesses is Vuyani Nombembe, right here in studio with me. Vuyani, a warm welcome to you, and thank you for your time in joining me.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you very much.
And then we also have another guest who may be joining us a little bit later in the conversation. We have Thabang Khoza, who is currently struggling with his internet connection due to load shedding, unfortunately. But we are really hoping for Thabang to join us slightly later in the conversation. Now, Vuyani, you and I are going to have a lacquer conversation about how people conduct themselves in the workplace and setting those guidelines, a code of conduct to help them and guide them about their actions and their behavior and their attitude in the workplace. And it's going to make for an interesting conversation because it is a very important factor in any business. But before you and I are going to delve into the details of our conversation, we are going to cross over to a quick news break, and we're going to change over to our news team. Do stay tuned for our viewers, because Vuyani and myself will be right back after this.
Hello, and welcome to the news. In a feat that reflects unwavering commitment to excellence, the Plumbing Industry Registration Board has achieved a resounding victory by securing its recognition as the only South African qualifications authority recognized professional body for plumbers for the third consecutive time. This achievement not only underscores the PIRB's dedication to maintaining high industry standards, but also showcases its significant contribution to the plumbing profession. The new Kasi to Kasi Plumbing Association and the Institute of Plumbing South Africa, also known as IOPSA, have decided to collaborate to expand the upliftment of the plumbing industry. Now, many plumbing organizations have emerged to meet the various demands of the industry. These include IOPSA, the PIRB, and most recently, the Inclusive Plumbers Association, or IPA. In working together, these companies aim to elevate the industry through training and upskilling. Now, it is worth noting that while signing the Memorandum of Agreement, there was a discussion about the need for a single organization, perhaps a federation of plumbing. However, since the different bodies are in different stages of development, the idea for forming a federation has been tabled for the time being. Moving right along, the non-profit Seriti Skills Development recently honored more than 100 women. The event celebrated Women's Month and recognized the women who had successfully completed the 13-week Basic Plumbing Maintenance and Entrepreneurial Ignition course. According to Iksan Hugo, Director and Facilitator of Seriti Skills Development, this program offers an introduction to basic plumbing and entrepreneurial ignition, offering the most vulnerable the confidence needed in order to support themselves. Participants were also taught how to write a business plan, register a company, and conquer their fears of public speaking, among other things. Congratulations, ladies. That's it for now. Let's take it back to the studio.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into another episode of the Plumbing 101 show with myself, Willem Kloppe, and my guest, Vuyani Nombembe. And Vuyani and myself today are talking about code of conduct a code of conduct in a business, but also conduct in a company. Now, Vuyani, I want to quickly ask you, before we start our conversation, just quickly introduce yourself to our viewers, just so that they know who is my guest in studio today.
Okay, my name is Vuyani Nombembe. I'm from Eastern Cape originally. I was born in Butterworth, which is in the Eastern Cape, but I grew up in Soweto. And I did my trade, I think, about 28 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
And then now I've been a plumber for about 24 years, more or less. I'm a qualified plumber, licensed plumber. I also have a certificate on solar geysers and heat pumps. So I'm now in the insurance industry now, which is we're doing maintenance plumbing. That's what we deal with. So we deal with a lot of customers. We work with most of these big insurance companies, which is doing electric installations, solar installations. I own a company that is called Big7 Construction. That is the one that deals with all the plumbing works. Unfortunately, these days, or fortunately, I'm helping the upcoming plumbers because, you know, some plumbers, the new plumbers, they struggle with plumbing sometimes. So I help them if they have those problems. So I'm also a mentor which means we help presently we're helping about 2 or 3 plumbers a year to become plumbers. And we're hoping to...
And acquiring those skills and the knowledge and the experience and those kind of things.
Because you can't get everything from the school.
But
sometimes.
You've mentioned 3 things now that stand out for me, and that all 3 of those have an impact on the conversation that we are talking about, because they relate to conduct in the workplace, how people act and behave and their attitude in the workplace. Because you said that you are dealing with the insurance companies. Now, surely the insurance companies, when they nominate a plumbing company to go and do repairs or replacements or those kind of things on insurance base, they want professional people. They want people who conduct themselves in a specific or a professional manner when they go out, right? You also mentioned that you have expanded your business and the services that you provide by acquiring that license. Was it license and? Solar and?
Solar and heat pumps.
Solar and heat pumps. That's you're adding additional services, which means now you're broadening your scope of customers.
Very much.
And again, the way that you behave and interact and conduct yourself and your staff for that matter, it's important when you're now expanding your business services that you have more customers, a different type of customer. You have to conduct yourself in a specific way when you interact with them. And then thirdly, the fact that you're mentioning that you're helping upcoming plumbers not only to acquire the correct skill and knowledge for their trade and the work that they must do, but also you're mentoring them on how they should conduct themselves in this trade of plumbing and in the business and in the work environment. I want to ask you quickly, how do you define conduct? What is conduct to you? And do you feel that it is important both for the plumbing industry as a trade, plumbing as a trade, but more specifically, is it important for your company, your business?
Okay, first I'll answer the first question about conduct. Conduct, to me, is how you treat yourselves, is when you look at the mirror and what you see you're happy with, which is, I'll talk about, when I talk about, to me, I'm talking about, it's like a uniform. When you arrive at a client's property, I'll talk mostly about clients. And then, because the reason is because we deal mostly with insurance clients, which is individuals. Like one park will attend to about 3 clients at a day. So the first client you arrive to, mostly we feel comfortable because he can see the car itself will say, I am Big7. And then someone walks out of the car, goes and treats the client. The client must be sure this is not a thief. This somebody sent into my property is somebody whom I can trust. So That's the first thing you must see, the uniform. The way you greet the client, the way you talk to the client, he must know, you know what you're coming to do by my house. If you're coming for a keys, I must tell the client, greet the client, then you tell him why you came to his property. So that the conversation now flows. Okay, the client will now have to help you, sure. But the way you conduct yourself, he must know I can trust this person who is now, I'm letting a stranger into my property.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
Yes.
But now I must trust. I can leave my cell phone here for the whole day while he's working up and down in my property. But the way he's speaking to me, I already trust this person.
He's conveying himself as a professional. But also now it's interesting how you mentioned that he is being friendly. You know, like he's friendly, he's introducing himself, he's showing himself as a professional. The way that the bucky looks is professional. The way that your plumber is, you know, carries himself, and the way that he speaks is professional and friendly. But at the same time, it sounds like how you conduct and behave has something to do with how you communicate as well. Communication sounds like it forms part of how you conduct and your behavior and your attitude towards. But surely it must also be the way you conduct yourself with your colleagues, right? Because you don't only deal with customers, because you also have colleagues. You have multiple employees,
very true.
And they must conduct themselves in a specific way when they interact with each other as well.
That's very true, because what happens is, like, I'll talk mostly about how we treat ourselves as at our company. In the morning, you know what, one of the guys, unfortunately, has been working with us for years. He taught us something about the way we must treat ourselves, because the way we conduct ourselves. He just said, you guys, every day you live here, you go to work, you come back, you pack your bags, but you don't pray in the morning. A prayer is something which will help us respect each other now, as colleagues. I may not be a Christian myself, but I pray every day with the guys. Because that thing helps. When you think I've prayed in the morning, now how am I treating, even if he's your co-worker, remember, but maybe he's lower than you in terms of, you're a team leader, or a plumber, he's your helper. But you know, when you treat him with respect, that thing also shows that, okay, you will respect the client you are working with. Already the way the client sees you too, how you treat each other, he knows you will respect even his kids. Remember, kids will come and play with your tools.
Yes.
And how you treat them. Say, you don't just shout at the kid.
Yes.
It's the client's kid. It's like you're shouting the client himself. So that's why we treat each other with that respect that, okay, let's show each other respect. I know the guys usually they fight. But the main thing we always say, never fight in front of the client.
Oh, that's important. You know, the thing is, I always say, and I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but the fact is that, let's say for instance you use, even if you're not fighting and you're not having a quibble with your colleague, right? Even if you just use normal foul language, you know, some of us men and some of us people, we can get angry with something in the job, like this tool doesn't want to work, or this pipe doesn't want to come loose, and then we use certain swear words and we are using foul language. Even if we conduct ourselves in that way, and it may not be a fight or a quarrel that we're having with our colleague, it's just the way that my colleague and I are speaking to each other, using that language. We are now using that kind of language in front of our customer, in front of their children, and that should not be the way that we conduct ourselves as professionals in this trade, in this industry. Because remember, it's again, you have to show that respect, because the way that you behave and conduct and your attitude towards your work, it includes that respect to your customer.
Yeah, very true. It's very true. It's very true.
But now, here comes my other question. Just before we cross over to an ad break quickly, I want to ask you quickly, certainly that now we've said there's an importance of the way that you behave, the way that you conduct yourself in your workplace and your attitude towards your workplace. Would you say that it is beneficial to a company and a plumbing business if they put in place like a code of conduct that guides people to tell them that, listen, if you work for my company, if you work for my plumbing business, then I want you to behave like this. I want you to conduct yourself like this. These are the guidelines for you. And for you to be part of this team, my employees, my company, then I expect you to adhere to those. Do you think that it's beneficial to have that in a company?
Very beneficial, I think. It is very beneficial because remember us, when you get a job, you know, the attitude is from when somebody calls and say, I have a plumbing problem. The way, okay, let's put it, the consultant or the call center, the way he will speak to the client until the plumber gets to the client's property, there must be a uniform. There must be uniform on how you conduct yourself. Yes. There must be a uniform. Because if, let's say, the one from the call center, she was very nice or he was very nice, thank you for calling us, wara, wara, wara. She's nice. And then a plumber arrives with an attitude now by the client's property.
Or he smells like alcohol. I heard you wanted to say he smells like alcohol.
It smells like, I've had that problem once whereby the client complains. So some things we learn as we continue with the job that, you know, now we have a situation whereby we sometimes test the alcohol on the guys because sometimes you're sending somebody to client's property and smelling alcohol. Obvious, you will say at Big7, everyone is smelling alcohol. So yes, how you conduct, there must be a way, a uniform within how we conduct ourselves that, because if the call center or the consultant was good, but the plumber arrives with the attitude, but then the client is, instead of giving you a 10, he's already giving you a -0. And he will never, you know, word of mouth. Now, it's a way how sometimes we want our business to grow. It's marketing. So word of mouth is a very good way of marketing.
Absolutely.
So the way you conduct, you know, you can do, plumbing is something, it's complex. It's like sometimes you can go and fix this thing. You're busy replacing a geyser. And then a light stops working, or circuit breaker, or something stops working, or it was not working at all. Yes. So you have a client now, because the client now is angry with the attitude you're having, but he wants this geyser solved. The client can come around and say, because of this and this now, he blames you now.
Exactly.
For something that has been a problem, because of the way you conduct yourself.
Yes.
Because of your attitude. But if you are good with the client, then he will know, but let me not do this to these guys. You see, because of how you're treating yourself. Like us, the challenge we have, I'll put it this way, is something that is called excess. Collecting the money from the client. The client every month he pays insurance for a premium. He knows the insurance must come and replace my keys. But the insurance says collect excess.
Exactly.
Before the work commences. The client gets told by the insurance, gets told by our office. The plumber now himself, when he must collect the excess, something else. It's something else.
There's a specific way in which he has to carry
himself. Yes, asking for an
customer.
excess is something else.
Yeah.
So that's now the way he conducts himself now. Hey, may I please say, did they, you know how even you ask the client, you know he knows about excess, but how you ask him, it becomes an issue. So, but if you know, you ask somebody and ask, okay, I'll pay you the excess after you're done with the work.
Sure.
No, say it must be paid before. Nicely asking, but yes, that's the way you must conduct yourself, because sometimes it turns out to be a fight.
Yes.
It turns easily, it turns out. But the way you conduct, you're not here to fight. You're here to fix the client's problem and leave the client happy.
Exactly. By the time a customer calls you, they already have a problem. And if you show up there with a sloppy attitude or an attitude towards a customer, you don't look professional, you don't act professional, then certainly it's going to have a negative impact on how that customer sees you, how it sees the company that you work for. Remember, the company also has a reputation. They need to be professionals in their industry, right? So it's a good thing. It sounds like then there's benefit to the company and to the customer at least, for when you have a set of rules, let's call it, or guidelines,
guidelines,
you can share with your employees to say that when you work for me, this is how I want you to conduct yourself. Listen, we are running out of time. We need to go to a quick ad break. For our viewers, do stay tuned. Please have a look at these advertisements that we put in here, because they are for your interest and your benefit. But Vuyani and myself will be right back after this.
It's an exciting time to be a professionally registered plumber. The PIRB's leaderboard provides plumbers with the opportunity to be placed onto a ranking system to see how they perform amongst their peers around the country. This ranking system enables both plumbers and consumers to identify top local plumbers and monitor their performance nationally and regionally. Consumers will always look for the best, and at the top is where you'd want to be. It is therefore very important to be dedicated to continuously upskilling yourself through continuous professional development activities. The CPD points you accumulate during the CPD program will allow you to be rated on the leaderboard as you grow. The ranking system runs on a 3-month rolling average, where you can find yourself at the very top by accumulating more points than your peers. Top-ranked plumbers also stand a chance to win prizes through a lucky draw, where winners are announced on the PIRB's Plumbing 101 shows on YouTube. Do not miss out on the opportunity to be highlighted as an elite plumber in South Africa. Start accumulating points and become one of the best. Get skilled, get rewarded.
Good day, how can I help you?
Hi, I'm here to log in my COCs, but I seem to be having an issue with my computer.
No problem, but did you know that you can log your COCs using an app on your cell phone?
Oh, what app is that?
It's called the App Plumber. Do you have a smartphone with you?
Yes, I do.
Oh well, let me show you how it works.
Not only can you access your PIRB profile on the App Plumber, but you can also earn CPD points while exploring the plumbing industry in the palm of your hand. Download the app from Google Play Store and join thousands of other happy users. Welcome back to this episode of the Plumbing 101 show, in which myself and my guest Vuyani Nombembe are discussing conduct within the workplace. We're also slightly touching on ethics, but mostly focusing on conduct, the way that you behave and act at the workplace or in the workplace, as well as your attitude in the workplace. Now, Vuyani, just before we went into the ad break, we spoke about how you see what conduct is, how you would interpret it and define it, and the importance thereof for businesses and companies and the plumbing trade to have proper conduct in it. And we also spoke about how it can benefit your company and the customers, for that matter, when there is a set of code or a code of conduct in your company to tell your employees, this is what I expect from you when you work for me. This is how I expect you to your attitude to be, your behavior to be, and how you act and interact with customers, colleagues, myself as your employer, those kind of things. We spoke about the benefits to the company itself. Now I want to ask you, how do you think that if you have a set of conduct rules or a code of conduct in your company, and you teach people how to behave and how to act in the workplace, how can it benefit the employee, the person that works for you, if they learn how to behave and how to act properly and how to conduct themselves properly?
Okay, that's a very nice conversation and a good question. Okay, to me, I'll say there is lots of benefits, because as an employee, especially like when you go to a client's property, if your conduct is good, remember, if a client has another problem, if your conduct was good, he will specifically ask for that plumber. And as plumbing, I am not saying that, but most companies now, remember, we're using a subcontracting now, because it benefits the plumbing and the employee.
Yes.
So it benefits you also, because if a plumber says, I want the same plumber.
Yes. A specific person, that plumber.
Yes, I want that plumber who was at my property to come back. It means he doesn't know what you're doing in the roof. Whether you did a good job or a bad job, it doesn't.
It was purely on your conduct.
On your conduct.
How you acted and interacted.
So also it benefits you. You're growing in this industry as a person, that, you know what, if a neighbor has a problem also, obviously he talks, hey, I have a leaking pipe. Then I will tell him, no, call this plumber. Obviously, so it grows you. In the future, you'll have your own company.
That's it. That's one of the very important things.
So yes, you'll know how to act when you So you grow yourself. You might start even now getting plumbers by word of mouth now. Then you grow up, you have your own company. That's how you benefit mostly. Also, you know, even myself, I've been in situations whereby, as a plumber, you know what, when I was working for a company, there's a company I used to work for years. I don't want to say names for, but you know, I started there. I worked for that company for more than 15 years, for 10 to 15 years. Even now, when I started my own company, I wanted to get the guys who worked for that company, because I know the way, you know, the way you get to a company. I've also copied that. You are a new plumber, you get to a company. Before you start, before they give you a back and say you are the team leader now, you get trained, the code of conduct of how we work in this company.
In that company.
So I grew up in that company. I will say I'm one of the best plumbers because of the way that company, you know, how they showed us, yes, how they taught us how to conduct yourself when you're by a client, when you're by yourself, when you're by your back. You know, sometimes people look at other things. We say cleanliness is close to godliness.
Oh, yes.
But how do you become clean as a plumber? That is also the way. It's a code that you must have. When I arrive by the client's property, I must be a bit clean. I understand being clean to a plumber because we work hard, you work in. But at least, you know, we train guys to say, just have 2 T-shirts in the back. One, when you arrive by the client, you wear on top like a collar T-shirt like this. And then you have this one, you work. When you work. So when you arrive by the client, you wear this T-shirt that is at least clean. You greet the client, you talk to the client. After you start working, you see you're going to work with dirt, you remove your T-shirt, you nicely put it in the bag. When you go to the next client, at least he says that this guy, at least he looks representative.
It's that sense of self-dignity. It's that sense of dignity.
Yes. So also it gives you as a plumber, I must always look, how you must look. You must always look representative. You must conduct yourself in a way that I am. That makes you cross also. The way you interact with your friends, the way you interact with your colleagues, the way you interact even at home. Yes, that's
it's that thing there. It's a very important thing. It's interesting how you put that now. How having a code of conduct and being taught how to interact and act and the attitude that you must have in the workplace can positively affect the way how you interact and behave and conduct yourself in your personal life. You know, it can increase your respect for yourself. It can increase your respect for your family and friends at home. It can increase and improve your relationships, your personal relationships at home, simply because you have learned this way of conducting yourself properly, you know, with respect and those kind of things, and professionally in your workplace. It can have a positive impact on your...
Yes, very positive impact. That is very true.
We're drawing to a close of this episode, Vuyani, so I want to ask you last question. Would you say that there's a difference between ethics and conduct? And how do you see the difference between ethics and conduct?
Okay, now there is a difference, but there is no difference. I would like to say
they walk hand in hand.
Yeah, they work in hand. It's like, because when you talk about conduct, it also comes back to ethics. Ethics is whereby, what I've learned myself is now let me go to ethics. With ethics, you know, there's an attitude with us plumbers that you must try and do the job first time, do it right first time, and leave the client. That helps you a lot because you use a product, you come here. I mean, the insurance will say we'll pay you 2,000 to replace a valve. A valve will cost you maybe 1,000 rand, and then there is labor. You go and buy a 500 valve.
It may not be compliant, ne?
It's not compliant.
Exactly.
You buy a valve that is cheap, a cheap product. The insurance is paying for a product that is good, that is
compliant,
a safe mark, yeah,
safe for the client.
Yes.
Client.
Now, or the client himself is paying for that product. You put in a product that is not safe. 1 month down the line, the product gives in.
Yes.
What happens to that? You are not even to you, if someone gets set, it becomes fraud now. That is stealing from the client. So, yes.
It's like ethics is your integrity. It's your judgment.
Yes.
Am I going to install a product that is not compliant, but charge for something that is compliant?
Yes,
am I going to charge for a job that I didn't do because the customer doesn't know?
Yes,
they won't know what I put in or what they don't know. And then you charge for that. It's that sense of integrity that it seems like ethics refers to that.
Yes,
well,
yes.
Conduct, in your eyes, what does conduct refer to?
Conduct, it's whereby now the way you carry yourself, the way you do things, the way, as I said, if in ethics, it's about how you do the job, actually, how you actually finish the job, start the job and finish it. And then with conduct, it's about how you carry yourself, how the client will look and say, I think this man will do a good job.
Just the way you speak to the customer.
Yes, just the way, your professionalism.
Yes.
The way you have tools. When you carry your toolbox, you're respecting the client's property. You don't walk on the carpet with dirty shoes on his.
Oh, yes.
You respect the client's property. Just by putting something, maybe a drop sheet and walk. That's conduct by the client. That's respecting the client's property. So the client already, by showing that, before you put even your small things, before you put a stop ladder, just put a drop sheet underneath. And then the client will know, he's respecting my property. He doesn't know. The way you're going to do in the roof or how you fix the pipe or that's now ethics comes in now. Did you do the job right? Are you happy that they can send somebody to come and inspect that job? Are you happy that when you leave here, if another plumber comes and he won't say, this man, he doesn't know what he was doing. You know what we do as plumbers? Ethics is whereby, when you do a job also, you must be in a situation, even if it's slightly wrong, because some situations, you must do something wrong. When I say wrong, I don't mean do it wrong, but when you install a toilet like this, there's lines for tiling or installing a bath. So if you put your bath straight, like it must be, and then the lines for the tiles are wrong, a bit wrong, so it makes your bath look
It makes your bath is straight, but the tiles make it look skewed.
So now as a plumber, of course, we include the client in some things, but you must know how to deal with things. Give the client, how you conduct yourself, showing the client that this is the situation.
The way in which you communicate.
Yes, the way you show that I know what I'm doing. So the client is happy and he knows that at the end of the day, why it's like this is the problem. Yes. So that's the difference between me and between the conduct and the ethics, work ethics. Of course, we're talking about work ethics. Sure, that's the difference.
Vuyani, look, I know that your business is going to do very well because certainly these things, conduct and ethics is a very important, and I can see that clearly you understand what these things are, what the impact thereof are on your business, on your employees and your customers. I want to thank you for your time and your effort in having joined in, and the wonderful information, the insightful information that you've shared from your perspective as not only a plumber yourself, but also a business owner. I do regret that we haven't had our other guest, Thabang Khoza, because of load shedding and internet connections. But I do believe that what you've shared with us carry a lot of value to me and to the viewers out there. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
To our viewers, that concludes the conversation between Vuyani and myself about conduct and ethics in the workplace. But don't go away yet. We're going to cross over to our news team for you for some more industry news. But from the two of us, we're going to say goodbye for now.
Hello and welcome to the news. In a feat that reflects unwavering commitment to excellence, the Plumbing Industry Registration Board has achieved a resounding victory by securing its recognition as the only South African Qualifications Authority recognized professional body for plumbers for the third consecutive time. This achievement not only underscores the PIRB's dedication to maintaining high industry standards, but also showcases its significant contribution to the plumbing profession. The new Kasi to Kasi Plumbing Association and the Institute of Plumbing South Africa, also known as IOPSA, have decided to collaborate to expand the upliftment of the plumbing industry. Now, many plumbing organizations have emerged to meet the various demands of the industry. These include IOPSA, the PIRB, and most recently, the Inclusive Plumbers Association, or IPA. In working together, these companies aim to elevate the industry through training and upskilling. Now, it is worth noting that while signing the Memorandum of Agreement, there was a discussion about the need for a single organization, perhaps a federation of plumbing. However, since the different bodies are in different stages of development, the idea for forming a federation has been tabled for the time being. Moving right along, the non-profit Seriti Skills Development recently honored more than 100 women. The event celebrated Women's Month and recognized the women who had successfully completed the 13-week Basic Plumbing Maintenance and Entrepreneurial Ignition course. According to Iksan Hugo, Director and Facilitator of Seriti Skills Development, this program offers an introduction to basic plumbing and entrepreneurial ignition, offering the most vulnerable the confidence needed in order to support themselves. Participants were also taught how to write a business plan, register a company, and conquer their fears of public speaking, among other things. Congratulations, ladies. That's it for now. Let's take it back to studio.